Proof: a negative number times a negative number is a positive number. What is a negative number? Although you are probably used to thinking in terms of minus, negative, and subtract, try to think in terms of opposites. Just like south is the opposite of north, and west is the opposite of east, negative is the opposite of positive. Take a look at the number line below. The number 5 is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. To get to 5 on the number line, you move 5 units to the right of 0. The number negative 5 is the opposite of 5. To get to negative 5 on the number line, you move 5 units to the left of 0. In other words, you move in the opposite direction. Plus and minus tell us in which direction to move on the number line. Let's test it out. 2 plus 3 minus 7 equals negative 2. Let's try a weird one. What is negative negative 4? This is 4. This is negative 4, or the opposite of 4. And this is negative negative 4, or the opposite of negative 4, which turns out to be 4 again. If you think about it, there are only two directions, so it would make sense that if you turn around twice, you end up facing the same direction in which you started. Okay, but this still doesn't quite answer our question. At the very least, can we all agree that negative 1 times negative 1 equals negative negative 1, which equals 1? Good. We can now use algebra to get us the rest of the way. Let x equal negative a times negative b. This is equal to negative 1 times a times negative 1 times b. Because multiplication is associative, we can remove the parentheses and get negative 1 times a times negative 1 times b. Multiplication is also commutative, which means we can reorder the terms however we wish and get negative 1 times negative 1 times a times b, which is negative 1 times negative 1 times a times b. And we already agreed that negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, which means our answer is a times b. In other words, negative a times negative b equals a times b. Here's a quick example. Let x equal negative 2 times negative 7. If you go through the steps, you end up with 2 times 7, which is positive 14. Ta-da! We did it. We showed that a negative number times a negative number is a positive number. To tell you the truth, we fudged it a little bit. We gave a good example of why negative 1 times negative 1 should equal 1. It makes sense that it equals 1, but an example is not a proof. In reality, negative 1 times negative 1 must equal 1 if we want our other rules of arithmetic to work, and we can prove it. The following slides get a bit in-depth, but if you want a real proof, here goes. Let x equal a times b plus negative a times b plus negative a times negative b. It looks kind of weird, but trust me, there's a good reason for choosing that expression. We can simplify this expression by factoring out a negative a. This gives us a times b plus negative a times b plus negative b. A number plus its opposite is 0. So we get a times b plus negative a times 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So we get a times b plus 0, which is a times b. So it turns out our long expression for x is actually a times b. We can take the same expression for x and simplify it in a slightly different way. This time, let's factor out b instead. We get b times a plus negative a plus negative a times negative b. A number plus its opposite is 0, so we get b times 0 plus negative a times negative b. Anything times 0 is 0, so we get 0 plus negative a times negative b, which is negative a times negative b. But we got both of these answers from the same expression for x that we started with. In other words, x equals a times b, and x also equals negative a times negative b. Therefore, a times b must equal negative a times negative b.